Hey there, folks. If you're curious about the mysteries of our past and want to see more videos like this, don't forget to follow the channel. Support us by subscribing, liking and dropping a comment. It really helps us keep going and bring you more stories. Artifacts that prove we're not the first civilization. These artifacts aren't myths, they're real. And they might just prove that we're not the first advanced civilization on Earth. In a busy courtyard near the Qutub Minar in Delhi stands something that seems ordinary at first glance, just a tall, dark iron pillar. But the more you look at it, the stranger it gets. This pillar has been standing for more than 1,600 years, fully exposed to rain, heat and pollution. Yet it hasn't rusted. Not the way iron should. It hasn't crumbled, peeled or rotted. Scientists have examined it for decades, and the honest answer is, they don't know exactly how it's lasted this long. The official explanation? A mix of ancient forging techniques and a high level of phosphorus in the metal. But here's the catch. No other iron artifact from that time or place was made in the same way, not even close. It's as if the people who made it had advanced knowledge of chemistry and metallurgy, knowledge that disappeared right after they used it. Some researchers think it was built using a process that prevents rust altogether, a level of control over metal that wasn't supposed to exist in 400 AD or earlier, depending on which history book you believe. And what if this pillar wasn't just a marker or a monument? Some say it might have been part of a much larger energy system. Sounds like sci-fi, until you see that it's perfectly straight, perfectly balanced, and seemingly immune to decay. Others have speculated it could have been a conductor, a resonance rod, or even a kind of magnetic stabilizer. Mainstream archaeology dismisses these ideas, but even they admit the pillar shouldn't look like this today. And according to some local legends, the pillar was once part of a much older city given knowledge by the gods, then lost in a great flood. Imagine Atlantis, but in South Asia. Now picture yourself standing next to another massive chunk of metal. 7 tons of solid iron on the misty hills of West Java, Indonesia. The site was once thought to be just a pile of old rocks, sacred to locals but ignored by archaeologists. Then came the deep ground scans, revealing giant underground chambers, engineered stone layers, and a complex structure buried under volcanic soil that's thousands of years old. The shock? It could be up to 28,000 years old. This isn't just a small temple, it's a multi-tiered pyramid with platforms, walls and tunnels, like finding a buried skyscraper in the jungle. If the carbon dating is right, Gunung Padang would be the oldest known stone structure on Earth, twice as old as the Egyptian pyramids. Its design shows earthquake resistance, careful planning, and maybe even astronomical alignment. But mainstream history barely mentions it, because that would mean our ancestors weren't just hunters with sticks. They were builders, engineers and thinkers. In ancient Baalbek, Lebanon, you'll find stones so massive that, honestly, modern construction equipment looks like toys next to them. These aren't just random boulders, they're precisely carved blocks, each weighing up to 800 tons. The 3 most famous, the trilithon, fit together perfectly, forming the foundation of the Temple of Jupiter. But you know the weird part? Nobody really knows how they got there. Even the Romans who built on top of them didn't actually place these stones. The nearest quarry is 800 meters uphill, and some blocks weigh more than a fully loaded Boeing 747. The gaps between them are so tight you can't even slip a sheet of paper in. No mortar, no visible tool marks, just flawless alignment. Makes you wonder, doesn't it? Then there's the mysterious Loreto staircase in Santa Fe, New Mexico. A spiral staircase with no central support beam, no nails, no glue, and made entirely of wood that, well, doesn't grow anywhere nearby. Built by an unknown carpenter who just appeared out of nowhere, finished the staircase using only hand tools, and then disappeared without payment or thanks. Even today, engineers still shake their heads at it. Or take the perfectly split Al-Nazla rock in Saudi Arabia, cut so precisely it looks like it was sliced with a giant laser, yet no tool marks exist. Geologists point to natural forces, sure, but the split is so straight and clean that honestly some folks suspect lost technology, or maybe even something not from this earth. Then there's Adam's Bridge, or Rama's Bridge, a strange chain of limestone shoals stretching between India and Sri Lanka. Satellite images show it wasn't always underwater, and some studies even suggest it was deliberately built. Hindu legends say it was constructed by an army of advanced beings led by the god Rama to rescue his wife from a demon king. And in Texas, a buried wall made of interlocking stone blocks, some with right angles, arches, and even, believe it or not, signs of mortar, has fueled debates for over a century. Mainstream science says it's natural. Independent researchers say it's just too perfect to be. Finally, in Romania, the Tartaria tablets, 3 small clay pieces with strange symbols, dated to around 5300 BC. That's about 1,000 years older than the earliest known writing in Mesopotamia. If real, they could rewrite human history. These are just a few of the mysteries that challenge the official story, hints that perhaps advanced civilizations rose and fell long before the one we know. Could the Tartaria tablets be the last surviving trace of a civilization wiped out by time and flood, leaving behind nothing but these clay pieces as proof? It's almost as if someone was trying to send a message. The real question is, were they the first to write? In several sites across Central and South America, archaeologists have found strange carvings of human-like beings with large eyes, often linked to the modern grey alien stereotype, etched into ancient stone. One stone head, covered in triangle symbols and radiating lines, looks almost extraterrestrial, yet it's unquestionably ancient. Nearby there are massive fossilized human-like footprints pressed into solid rock that's believed to be millions of years old. In one case, a single huge footprint makes a modern human hand look tiny in comparison. It raises a disturbing question. Were these the remains of ancient giants or something else entirely? Mainstream science often dismisses these carvings as misinterpretations or hoaxes, but when you can see them, physically, photographically, they're hard to ignore. In an Iraqi museum, a strange artifact was discovered. Nothing like the jewellery, tools or pottery from its era. It was a clay jar sealed with asphalt, inside of which was a copper cylinder with an iron rod. Nothing unusual, until someone filled it with grape juice and got a small electric shock. That's when things got weird. This so-called Baghdad battery dates back over 2,000 years, to the Parthian period, long before electricity was officially discovered. No one really knows what it was for. Some think it was used for electroplating, applying thin layers of gold or silver to metal. Others think it had religious or ceremonial use, and some believe it was part of something far more advanced. If this is just one example of ancient electricity, how many others have we missed? Were there once scattered energy systems and laboratories all over the ancient world? And if so, why haven't we found more? At first, many experts dismissed the jar as a hoax, until working replicas proved it could produce a small electric current using nothing more than lemon juice or vinegar. Not enough to power a city, but enough to spark questions. If they knew how to make a battery, what else did they know? Some researchers even suggest Mesopotamia might have inherited lost scientific knowledge from an earlier, more advanced civilization, one we barely remember. Long before Sumer or Babylon, there was a mysterious culture in Mesopotamia called the Ubaid. They left behind advanced pottery, irrigation systems, and something far stranger, a series of small clay statues of human bodies with reptilian heads. These weren't crude carvings. They were detailed. Some wear helmets, some hold infants, some sit on thrones. But they all share one thing. They look like lizards. Not stylized animals, but upright, intelligent beings with long eyes, flat noses, and scaly skin. They date back to around 5000 BC, before writing, before cities, before anything we'd call civilization. Mainstream archaeology says they're symbolic or mythological. But symbolic of what exactly? The Ubaid culture wasn't known for wild religious imagery. They were practical. So why make these figures? Some think they represented gods. Others go further, linking them to Anunnaki legends or even extraterrestrial visitors. What's more, these statues weren't found in just one spot. They've appeared at multiple sites, all sharing the same reptilian features. Were they just creative art, or inspired by something, or someone, the Ubaid actually encountered? Today, these little figures sit quietly in museum cases, rarely discussed, staring back at us across thousands of years with cold, ancient eyes. In 1898, in a Saqqara tomb, archaeologists found a small wooden carving that looked at first like a bird. But something was off. Its wings were flat and straight, not curved like a real bird's. Its tail was vertical, like the rudder of a modern plane, and it had no feet. Experts dated it to around 200 BC, but no one could explain why it was shaped this way. Some called it ceremonial. Others thought it was just a stylized falcon. Then aerodynamic engineers tested it in wind tunnels and found that the Saqqara bird could glide almost perfectly, if fitted with a small stabilizer. Was this an ancient experiment in flight? The Egyptians were masters of math, architecture and astronomy. Could they have studied the skies more deeply than we thought? Some even suggest it was part of a much larger design, now lost, maybe even a full-sized glider or an early attempt at manned flight. It sounds crazy. But so did ancient batteries and laser-cut stones. The Saqqara bird isn't just an artifact. It's a quiet clue that over 2,000 years ago, someone in Egypt might have looked up and wanted to go up. Deep inside the Temple of Hathor in Dendera, Egypt, there's a wall carving that doesn't seem to belong to the ancient world at all. It shows a long oval shape with a thick cable leading to what looks like a power box. Inside the oval, a snake-like figure winds its way along, and to many, it looks exactly like a giant electric light bulb. The carving has fueled decades of debate. Mainstream scholars say it's purely symbolic, tied to Egyptian mythology, but others, especially those with technical backgrounds, believe it could be showing actual technology. The shape is remarkably similar to a Crookes tube, an old scientific device used to study cathode rays in the 19th century. Well, folks, thanks so much for listening. If you enjoyed this journey through ancient mysteries, don't forget to follow the channel and keep an eye out for future videos. Go ahead and subscribe, like, and leave a comment. I'd really appreciate it.